I'm going to show you how to take apart the front or the hub of the front wheel of a bicycle here to repack the bearings with grease. These bearings are quite dry, so they need to be repacked with some quality bicycle grease here. So the first thing we do is we remove this skewer, as it's called, like so. Take that out. Make sure you don't lose these little springs. Put the end back on so you don't lose it. Set it aside. Next thing we need to do is take apart the hub. And the way we do that, we simply, I'm using 2 crescent wrenches. You may be able to find box wrenches that would fit exactly, but crescent wrenches do just as well. And so we're just going to open that like that. And I do it with my fingers now. So we're going to take these nuts off. Now here's where we got to be very careful, because there are little ball bearings inside here. So we'll start. Actually, we will, and there are these interior nuts that come off this threaded cylinder, or I guess you can call it a cylinder, and you put them in a degreaser type product. I happen to use Simple Green. It works pretty well, works very well. It's water-based, so it's not as bad for the environment as, say, kerosene, which can also be used, but you must dispose of it properly. And you pull this retaining cap off, and in here you'll see the ball bearings. Well, and I dropped one down the center there, so you got to make sure not to lose them. Drop them all in your solution. Turn it over. And remove the other little cap. There we go. You can see there's the old grease. It's not thoroughly covering everything nicely anymore, so it's definitely got to be repacked. And now I put some screening material on top of the jar here. Just use a rubber band to secure it there, so it's going to kind of agitate it a little bit. Pour out all the liquid. You want to find an old but clean towel, or relatively clean towel, to dump these parts onto. Carefully so you don't lose them. And the ball bearings, you want to keep them all together, and this towel will dry them with. You need to clean out the race on each side. that, we'll just use an old toothbrush and the cleaning liquid degreaser. Just get right in there and get out all the old grease. We'll do the other side the same way. Clean your brush from time to time. Now you want to take a clean cloth and dry this as best you can, because actually you want to dry it thoroughly, because you don't want any moisture which will contaminate the grease or water. You want to do the same thing with the ball bearings and these other parts. And just make sure they're good and dry. Take a look at them too. If they're badly worn or scored, you may need to replace them. And you should be able to buy them in any hardware store or perhaps a bicycle shop. They seem to be pretty dry. Especially, oops, there's one that tried to get away. Dry the insides, well, dry these caps thoroughly, inside and out. And lastly, you want to also dry inside the hub. You might need to take the end of your skewer again. Don't lose these little springs. Set them aside carefully, and you can use the skewer to help run the cloth through. Try not to scratch up the inside of the hub anywhere. We are ready to repack the bearings. So you take your bicycle grease like so. Might have to knead it a little. Actually, this looks pretty good. And you want to put a generous amount in here. That's probably pretty good. Okay, now you're going to take and actually put a little bit of grease, or if you have excess here, which it looks like I do, just going to put this cap over it, over the hub, and get some grease in it. Now put 10 ball bearings in there. Try not to let them fall through. The grease will help hold them there, but if you're not careful, they could just slip right through. And 10. Make sure you still have 10 left. You can kind of push the grease around with this thing as needed. And I still have 10 bearings left over, so now this cap will go on top like so. You can put that that in like so. Keep that nut in there, and then we'll do the same with the other side. Nice generous portion of grease. You also want to make sure to put a little bit of grease on the spindle here. Looks like I may have, or the threaded tube spindle goes back in. Carefully put it in there. I may have put a little too much grease, so you might have to judge that a little bit. And then be careful not to dislodge any of the bearings. Screw it all back together. And your other outer nut. So now you'll actually, you can even back off the inner one just a little, because as you tighten the outer one, it's going to tighten the inner one as well. So you have to kind of feel that. That seems to feel pretty good. It's pretty smooth. You don't want it to wobble back and forth this way. But you do want it also not to be so tight that it seizes up, essentially. So that seems to be pretty good right there. Here I am to tighten this up. This one happens to take a 13 millimeter flat wrench right in on those inner nuts. So you want to hold that firmly while you tighten the outer nuts. That one's pretty good already. That way they don't slip around or tighten and untighten on their own. So do it like so. Then you just put your skewer back on and put the wheel back on the bike. And you're done. Thank you again for watching.